Hello everyone, how are you? Today I'm making a video just to help you how to elaborate your PPT or your outline into the paper assignment. And if you still don't know about how to elaborate your idea and outline from the PPT into the paper, you may you can always ask me question in the meeting, but the purpose of this video is for you to be able to watch over and over if you still don't understand, and also particularly don't be hesitate to ask me question to give me feedback on my video. All right, now let me start. Why the paper assignment is important to you? As we know nowadays, the employers, especially when you apply for a job, the employers not only look at your GPA itu adalah IPK, but also look at your portfolio. The portfolio is the product you have already created or you made during your study in university. The product you have created can be in the form of several things, can be in the form of paper, can be in the form of video making, it can be in the form of bookmaking or journal writing. So why I assign you this paper? Because I want everyone here has some portfolio from the subject they have already taken. Now let's go to the point. In your PPT, uh, your PPT is similar to the writing outlines. You know, the writing outlines, when you are writing and you start making the outline, means that you have already completed your writing about 75%. Yeah, the only duty that you have to do after making an outline is to elaborate the idea in the outline into writing or into a paper. Now let's start with the title of my topic, or the topic I choose for the paper. Here is Silent, a Culture in Indonesian Classroom. Why I'm interested in this topic, or why this topic is so interesting. In order to answer this kind of question, you have to write a background of the study. The background of the study here similar to the background of your paper. So in this background of the study, I try to give a reason. In Indonesian classroom, almost in every subject, cross-cultural understanding, research methodology, TEFL in context, most students are very passive. They prefer to listen to the teacher explanation, and teacher's role mostly are becoming an information provider or an information giver, a knowledge giver or information provider. So it is including, yeah, it is not only on the subject that new to most students, even in speaking or in communication class, which means that speaking class here is give you an opportunities for you to interact, to make an interaction with other people. Even in communication class or speaking class, you most students are still silent. Of course, we have to know why this phenomena of silence happen in Indonesian classroom. There are actually a lot of factors influence. Uh, there are a lot of factors affecting silence in Indonesian classroom. But here, because you are limited only to write about 6 to 7 pages of paper. So therefore, I try only to describe two factors affecting silence in Indonesian classroom. So here, the next step after writing the background of the paper or the background of the study, I try to write factors. Two factors here mostly in my paper. The first factor is the teacher factor. Teacher is can affect student more passive or becoming a passive learners. The first from teacher factors is there are many actually related to teacher factor. However, I want to be more focused and concise. Therefore, I only discuss four things related to teacher factor affecting the silence in the classroom. The first is the teaching material. You know that teaching material sometimes given by the teacher are too difficult for students. For example, in speaking class, if you are assigned by teacher to talks about living in United States, of course some student or many students who never have any experience of living in United States or overseas, they are they tended to be silent because they have no background of knowledge of living overseas. So, teaching materials should be in the teaching materials should meet students' background of knowledge. When the teaching materials are too difficult for them, of course, they tended to be silent. The second factor related to teacher is teaching method. Sometimes many teachers use lecturing method. Lecturing methods mean the information start from the teacher, or we can call it only one way communication, so only teacher give you the information while your duty is just writing a note or jot down all the information given by the teacher. Using this type of teaching method, student usually in Indonesian context, they don't want to argue the teacher's information, or they don't want to challenge the teacher with different data or anything like that. So they obey, or they just accept what teacher's information, and they copy every information from the teacher, if possible all of the information from the teacher. So they just silent, they never give the argument or ask the teacher to discuss a particular issue, especially if they don't understand that issue. All right, another things still related to the teacher is a new teacher. You know that a new teacher usually do not have sufficient experience. Their experience probably like less than 5 years teaching. A new teacher usually only give a very short information. With a very short information, sometimes you don't get the whole description of the subject. So when you don't get the whole description of the subject comprehensively, you tended to be silent. You just don't want to ask question. It means like if you ask a lot of question to the new teacher, it likes a face threatening for that teachers. And then the other things is avoidance strategy. The avoidance strategy, let me illustrate this one. Usually teacher prefers student who talks, and they usually point a student who are really silent to give their opinion. So when teacher is pointing at you to answer the question, many others yang lainnya biasanya hiding themselves behind your friends back, ya, biasanya menyembunyikan diri di belakang temannya. So this is what we call as the avoidance strategy. They are afraid of answering the teacher question, so that's why. And with the teacher who likes pointing one another, pointing each student to answer, they usually try to put this strategy. And then beside the teacher factors, yeah, the other factors that I'm going to discuss in this paper is psychological factors. Now, before I explain this uh, factor or psychological factor, I just want to ask you a question. If the way I elaborate this slide, the way I elaborate this slide orally, and then you put into written, you have already had a lot of paragraph discussing about only this slide. So you in that writing, you discuss a new teacher as a factor with some elaboration and explanation, the teaching material with some elaboration and explanation, teaching method, and you also explain and elaborate this idea, avoidance strategy, you explain and elaborate again this idea. So wrote if you write that way, the way I spoke to you now, then I'm quite sure you are going to have a lot of idea only from one factor, only from the teacher factors. So this what I call outline will help you elaborating your idea, because if you don't have any outline before you writing, you usually do not focus on a particular topic. Your discussion will be talks about many things, which you end up with the idea one factor and another factors uh, really is not another one factor and another factor is not coherence. They don't have any relation each other. The idea of the paragraph and the idea of other paragraph do not have any coherency. So therefore your presentation of PowerPoint last meeting is really helpful for you to develop the paper. All right, now come to another factor that I have already mentioned before, the psychological factor. In psychological factor, again, I do not just explain what is psychological factor. Of course, I will give the definition of psychological factor, but the most important thing, you can illustrate you can develop the idea what is psychological factor, what type of psychological factor usually appear when in a classroom, when you are speaking or when you are communicating. Here I discuss three psychological factor. I'm going to discuss about student personality. In a classroom, there are always students with different type of personality. Some of them belongs to introvert student and some other belongs to extrovert student. Extrovert student usually are talking, expressing a lot the idea and opinion outside of the class. They are making friend very easily because they talks and greet everyone and say hello, and they easily make friends. So extrovert student outside of the class doesn't guarantee when they are inside of the class become so active. Sometimes even the extrovert student, when they are inside the class, they become silent. Ah, now, compared to introvert students outside of the class, they are silent. Inside of the class, they are more silent. So the personality also affect why the classroom atmosphere. Your personality affect the classroom atmosphere. What I mean here, if you are introvert, you becoming more passive because of your nature, your personality nature. And then the second psychological factor is the anxiety feeling. Anxiety feeling is feeling worry, afraid of making mistake. Usually, when you are speaking, this feeling appear that you concern a lot with the grammatical things, so you worry to make many grammatical error or many grammatical mistake. Sometimes you also feel worry if your friend do not understand your pronunciation, and then sometimes your friend laugh at you when you do not pronounce correctly, and you worry of a friend laughing at you, and you also worry to become a center of attention. So this kind of feeling will give you another impact, what we call as a low self-confidence. So low self-confidence is basically correlated or connected with your anxiety feeling. So when you explain the way I explain orally, when you explain in your paper, the way with the model I give you just now, the way I explain orally, of course, your paper is getting more and more. You can also add some example if you like. All right, now come to the last slide. This is your argumentation, your argument. Yeah, after explaining some factor, you need to put your argument. Don't cough. You know that uh, actually silence is not only the phenomena in English in Indonesian context, not only the phenomena in Indonesian context. Silence is also phenomena in other Asian countries. As we know that if you have experience to go or to sit in academic environment in Thailand, in Vietnam, in Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Philippines, you can find many students in that context also silence. So when this become a phenomena of other countries as well, not only in Asia, means that this is the culture. So the Eastern culture people, they tended to be silent in academic atmosphere. So yes, I answer the question in my title, is silent culture in Indonesian classroom, has already been answered in my argument. So silence is not only about teacher factors, not only about psychological factor, but silence is more on the cultural adoption of Asian countries, not only in Indonesia. So again, students, when you are talking, you try to elaborate more your argument the way I elaborate in this video. I'm quite sure you can reach 6 up to 7 pages of your paper. So this is the way I help you. Let me show you another um, let me show you the result of the elaboration. This is the result of elaboration from PPT, from the outline. Now you can see paper here, my paper. The only things that you need to pay attention is when you are writing paper, don't let your idea just just from don't let the idea only from your assumption. How to make it um, to make the assumption become the fact is by supporting your idea, uh, supporting the idea from your journal reading. For example, when you read a journal and the journal say the same thing or support your idea, you have to quote, you have to put it here. For example, like according to Hughes 2002, page 144, speaking is important skill, blah blah blah. So you have to support it. And then not only one but also another support here is from Julia. This is from the result of the study or the result of research, probably has already been published in journal, and then also from other people. So the more you read, the more comprehensive your discussion, because in that paper is not only your assumption but you support it with the journal reading. Okay, this is all the explanation from me. I hope that the paper you submitted, um, the paper you submitted follow and adhere to academic style of the English academic style or the academic style of English. Thank you. For now, see you next time with another video. Keep up the good work. Bye.